The clang of iron echoes from a cramped workshop hidden in one of Rome's endless alleys, where the air is thick with smoke and the faint tang of sweat. Tools are hammered into shape, not the blades that gleam under sunlight in the arena, but stranger, humbler instrument-curved scrapers, polished smooth, their edges dulled, so they will not cut. These are the sweat scrapers, or strigils, used on gladiators whose bodies carried not just scars of combat, but rivers of grime, blood, and dust from endless training. Imagine yourself stepping closer, hearing the hiss of metal plunged into cooling water, catching the acrid scent of burning coals while apprentices bicker over who ruined the last mold. The work is tedious, unglamorous, and yet essential. Without these simple tools, the spectacle of Rome's blood-soaked games would lose some of its sheen, for even warriors must be made presentable when they return from brutal contests. Picture the gladiators after combat, staggering into dim corridors beneath the arena. The crowd roars above them, demanding trophies. But down here another ritual begins. Slaves and attendants crowd around, carrying wooden buckets filled with oil. Thick liquid sloshes, filling the air with a sharp, earthy fragrance. The gladiator stands, still trembling, while attendants smear oil across every inch of his skin. Then, with slow, practiced strokes, the sweat scrapers glide along his body, dragging away sweat, blood, and dust. The sound is not pleasant like leather being pulled across wet stone, yet this scraping is part of cleansing, part of recovery, and strangely, part of performance. Rome saw beauty even in filth, and the remains gathered from a champion's skin were sometimes sold as charms, believed to carry strength, passion, or healing. The men who wielded these scrapers rarely spoke of glory. They were shadows in service of spectacle, paid little, their tasks dismissed as menial. And yet in their hands the dirt of the arena was transformed into something almost sacred. Think of it, jars filled with a paste of oil, sweat, and dust, collected after a champion's cleansing, fetching high prices in crowded markets. Imagine neighbors boasting, "This ointment came from the body of a victor." Ridiculous? Perhaps. But in a city where even fate was bartered, nothing went to waste. Step into their shoes for a moment. You crouch beside a battered gladiator, muscles slick under oil, his body steaming from exertion. The crowd outside chants his name, but down here, in the shadows, you scrape carefully, gently, almost reverently. You feel the heat of his skin, the coarseness of dust, the faint metallic tang of blood. This isn't glamour, it's labor, intimate and uncomfortable. Yet you know the jars on the table behind you, filled with what you have scraped away, will be worth more than you could ever earn in weeks of toil. And still you work quietly, rhythmically, listening to the distant rumble of Rome alive above your head. Somewhere nearby, a fountain splashes, carrying the scent of damp stone. A hammer rings faintly, shaping yet another scraper for tomorrow's games. Life in the city was built not only on emperors and warriors, but on countless hands like yours, unseen, uncelebrated. If you enjoy walking through these forgotten alleys of history with me, remember to support RomeChronicle, because voices like yours and mine keep these hidden lives alive. As the gladiator exhales, muscles still quivering from the arena's brutal choreography, you notice the subtle artistry in your task. Each stroke of the strigil is measured, almost meditative, as if painting invisible lines on a living canvas. Your hands are slick with oil, fingertips sticky with remnants of blood and sweat. The texture is coarse and oddly comforting, a reminder that the city's pulse beats not just in marble forums and golden temples, but here in the intimate, shadowed chambers where sweat and labor meet. Apprentices scurry around you, carrying buckets, muttering complaints about the relentless rhythm of work, their shoes scraping across stone floors that echo faintly with every hurried step. Occasionally, one drops a scraper or spills oil, prompting a chorus of soft curses and laughter that ripples through the cramped space. Above, the arena trembles with applause and shouting. Outside, the streets are alive, merchants calling their wares, children darting through alleys with scraps of bread, and the distant bray of animals carried along the cobblestones. From where you stand, you can almost imagine the grandeur of it all, the triumphant roar of the victor. But it is distant and abstract. Here close to the ground, your senses are filled with the immediate, tangible world. The sharp, metallic tang in the air, the warm, slick feel of skin beneath your hands, the rhythmic hiss of oil as it mingles with the residue of the day's toil. Each scraped inch tells a story, not of conquest, but of survival and resilience, of men and women who kept the machinery of spectacle alive. You glance at the small jars neatly arranged on a low shelf. They glint in the dim torchlight, each one a tiny vessel of power, superstition, and commerce. Some will be crushed into ointments, others sold whole to apothecaries who whisper promises of strength, vitality, or courage to eager buyers. The irony is not lost on you. The very sweat and grime of gladiators, those famed for their invincibility, is transformed into commodities that enrich a world far removed from the intimacy of the scraping room. A faint chuckle escapes your lips, though you dare not break concentration. After all, laughter here is rare and fleeting, yet necessary, a small rebellion against monotony. An apprentice bumps into your elbow, sending a faint splatter across the stone floor. You sigh, bending to clean it, and in that moment you realize how unnoticed these hours are. Outside, Rome celebrates the heroism of men who fight for glory. Yet beneath the arena, hidden behind thick stone walls, countless others perform acts just as vital, unseen, but essential. The irony is subtle, a quiet humor threading through your mind, yet weighted with the seriousness of labor. Your hands ache, your back protests, but the rhythm persists. One scrape after another, you honor a tradition overlooked by historians, yet crucial to the spectacle that defines an empire. The heat, the smell of oil, the texture of skin, and the echo of metal combine into a sensory symphony. Every sound, every movement reinforces your place in this hidden hierarchy. It is not glory, but it is essential. And as the night deepens in unseen alleys, your work continues, quietly monumental. If you enjoy walking these forgotten alleys of history with me, remember to support RomeChronicle, because in these shadows the real stories of Rome live on. The scrape of metal against skin continues in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. You feel the weight of your task, the small yet undeniable importance of your presence in the gladiator's world. Each stroke carries away not just sweat, but tension, fear, and fatigue, leaving behind the polished surface of someone trained to perform extraordinary feats of violence. The air is thick with oil and dust, and somewhere in the distance, the faint gurgle of a fountain merges with the muffled chatter of apprentices and the distant clatter of blacksmiths shaping tools for tomorrow's games. You catch a faint whiff of herbs. Someone has carried a bundle of rosemary nearby, a subtle attempt to mask the mingling sense of exertion and labor. From your vantage, you notice the quiet choreography of those around you. Slaves and attendants move like ghosts, their motions fluid from repetition, almost unnoticed except for the small sounds, the soft slap of oil under skin, the whisper of leather straps, the occasional metallic ring of a dropped scraper. In this confined space, life is measured in the rhythm of tasks rather than the ticking of hours. You bend over, careful to maintain the steady motion that has become almost second nature, and a fleeting thought crosses your mind. In some ways, this is a form of intimacy that Rome's grand spectacles never show, the bond between worker and warrior, between effort and reward, between labor and recognition that will never come. Occasionally you glance at the gladiator's face. His expression is a mix of exhaustion and relief, and you realize that the role of a sweat scraper is as much psychological as physical. The simple act of removing filth, of attending to bruised muscles, allows these men to reclaim a sense of dignity, however fleeting. You notice a small scar, almost imperceptible, along the curve of his shoulder. You trace it lightly with the scraper, careful not to cause pain, and imagine the story behind it: a clash in the sand, a misstep, a narrow escape from injury. These scars, hidden beneath polished skin, speak volumes to those who know how to read them. The jars of collected sweat and oil sit silently nearby, waiting for their destiny. Each one is a commodity, a small talisman in a world that worships strength and spectacle. You feel a flicker of amusement imagining merchants hawking these relics to eager buyers, who whisper of courage and vitality while unaware of the quiet labor that created them. Around you, apprentices stumble, laughter slips into the room, and a faint clinking sound marks the crafting of yet another scraper. The harmony of chaos, discipline, and purpose surrounds you, a microcosm of the larger city where triumph and toil coexist invisibly. For a moment you pause, letting the silence settle over the room. The distant roar of the crowd above contrasts sharply with the quiet intimacy below. Your hands are slick, your muscles sore, yet there is a strange satisfaction in the rhythm of scraping, in the knowledge that you are part of an invisible network that sustains Rome's grandeur. Every stroke matters, every movement is counted, and every drop of sweat removed is a testament to unseen dedication. If you enjoy walking these forgotten alleys of history with me, remember to support RomeChronicle, because it is here, in the hidden labor and quiet devotion, that the true heartbeat of the arena resides. The scraping continues, steady and deliberate, until the gladiator's body gleams under the dim torchlight. You can feel the subtle shift in the room, a quiet transformation from chaos to order, from grime to ritualized cleanliness. The apprentices pause, catching their breath, while the faint rhythm of hammers in a distant workshop underscores the persistence of labor beyond these walls. The air is thick with oil, sweat, and the lingering aroma of dust, mixed with faint herbs, creating a sensory tapestry that is uniquely Roman. Every sound, every texture, every scent tells a story, not of glory, but of survival, service, and skill hidden from the eyes of spectators. You notice the gladiator stretching, his muscles rolling and flexing, a mixture of fatigue and relief apparent in every movement. The jars on the nearby shelf glint quietly, each one a testament to countless hours of meticulous work. Some will be sold, others used for remedies or charms, but all carry the essence of labor that few will ever acknowledge. The irony is not lost on you. Rome celebrates warriors above all, yet it is the quiet diligence of men and women in shadowed rooms that ensures those triumphs appear so flawless to the public eye. A faint smile tugs at your lips as you imagine the oblivious crowd applauding while the unseen hands continue their intimate work below. As you continue scraping, you sense the subtle bond that forms in such spaces. The gladiator, once a figure of spectacle, is now a human being in need of care, and your hands bridge that gap between performance and humanity. You feel the warmth of his skin, the pliancy of muscles relaxed from exertion, and the slight tremor of fatigue still present. Each stroke of the strigil removes more than physical residue. It draws out tension, doubt, and exhaustion, leaving a form of quiet restoration. The apprentices watch, learning both technique and patience, understanding that this labor, though overlooked, is indispensable. In these moments, the hierarchy of Rome blurs, and what matters is not rank or fame, but skill, attention, and dedication. The distant hum of the city continues, carrying voices, laughter, and the subtle splash of fountains. The night presses close, yet the room is alive with tactile energy. The scrape of metal, the slick slide of oil, the shuffle of feet, the occasional whispered joke. In this small chamber, history is tangible, intimate, and profoundly human. You step back for a moment, surveying the space, and realize that these hidden laborers are custodians of a fleeting kind of immortality. They shape not monuments, but the very flesh and dignity of those who stand before the masses. Their work is ephemeral, yet it echoes in the spectacle above, a quiet testament to the unsung, to the forgotten, to the indispensable. And as you set down the final scraper, smoothing the last traces of oil from the gladiator's back, there is a sense of closure, a silent satisfaction. Rome's grandeur is not just in triumphs and spectacles. It is in the hidden dedication of those who toil unseen, whose efforts ripple outward, touching every corner of the empire. If you enjoy walking these forgotten alleys of history with me, remember to support RomeChronicle, because it is here in the unseen, in the quiet, and in the meticulously scraped flesh of the arena's champions that the truest stories of Rome endure.